Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Hanging in there.
Yeah, tell me
Hanging in
about it.
there.
Let me record this really quickly.
Recording in
There we
progress.
go. Well, it's always great to sit down with you. I think I saw you last at Borderlands, which was, it feels like forever ago, but it wasn't that long ago. But so many things have just happened that to be able to talk to somebody right now is like, it's nice considering what we're dealing with. But also feel guilty for me kind of talking about movies and getting back to work, because how can I do that when there's so much going on? And we did have an evacuation order. So before I even start this, I want to make sure you're okay. You're good, and just that you're in the good headspace and all of that.
Well, it's certainly a challenging time. I think I had the same questions of myself, but it sounds like you were asking yourself, should we even have this conversation today? Um, I've I've been alive a long time. I've seen some things in my days, but I can't remember a time when so many of my friends have been uh, so challenged and their families so challenged, and I feel so helpless, beyond what we're all, I hope, trying to do, donating and trying to figure out how to be of use. But this is a challenging time. The other side of that coin is this is a city that's built on the kinds of stories that you talk about, the kind of stories that you amplify, and it's a city filled with people who, whether their dreams were in the entertainment industry or their dreams were elsewhere, it's a city of dreamers that we all sort of came out here, and hopefully together we're going to be able to dream what the future of LA looks like. And part of it, I think, it looks like us carrying on with the things that brought us here in the first place. So I'm grateful for the opportunity to have this somewhat normal conversation. And as to me, I a week ago the hills outside of my home were on fire, uh, and it was surreal and a little frightening. But it was different because it was Wednesday, not Tuesday, so the
Yeah.
winds were low enough that the fire department could take care of it. And once I saw the helicopters going, and I knew that the fire department was able to help, I was very much not worried. And I tell a lot of stories about heroes and villains, and I got to say, I've never read a story about the heroes like the heroes in the fire department of Los Angeles, and all the first responders. It's been amazing and humbling to watch. Uh, how am I doing? It's complicated.
Very.
Is how I'm doing.
I mean, it's the same because on Thursday in my area, I guess the fire that was set in like the West Hills area was intentional, but the helicopters were all going over my house. Like, I think I heard them go by like maybe 50 times, and they did contain it very fast. But that second you hear that alarm ring, like evacuate, pack your stuff, I was like, well, what? Huh? I was literally about to write because everything had happened, but people had still started to send me like releases, so I was getting ready to write a review, and I just closed my computer. I was like, well, what do I even pack? I have all this movie memorabilia that I'll never be able to buy. Like, it was just like, and then the anxiety following that because you don't know, like, there was repeated alarms after that may or may not have been false, and it kept going off in the middle of the night. So just that anxiety, I've just kept my stuff in a bag on the floor for the time being.
Yeah.
And I think the good thing that I did see out of it, I went to help and donate, and I went to a lot of fire stations, and I actually had to go donate to a further away one because they were all full because so many people had come to donate and help, and that was like really good to see. And even when I
It's
went to like the people who were standing by the fire and guarding the road up to the fire, there was people. I met a bunch of like restaurants and brands who were taking food, from their restaurant to the National Guard and the firefighters on the lines. Like, that was really great to see, and that kind of made me feel a little bit better because I was like, everybody is kind of coming together, and
it,
they're despite the situation.
yeah, it's amazing, and it's the old Mister Rogers. You look to where the helpers are. I think the second or third day, they were taking donations at a doggy hospital down the street from me, and so I packed up stuff that I didn't need anymore, and piddle pads, and all this puppy stuff that I didn't need anymore. And I went to my dog, and I walked over, and I asked, I looked to where do I set it down, and I saw a little table of stuff, and I'm like, here, and they said, oh, you can put it over there. Look over there, and the whole wall
It was
is
just
filled with. So it is for all the folks that think Los Angeles is populated with people who are invested only in themselves. Los Angeles is very much, that's not the case. I'm very proud of our city.
yeah, exactly. And even, I mean, this lady had rescued these I know they're pet ducks because of the breeds and all the nerdy stuff I know about ducks.
I know ducks are your thing.
So she said, I've had a really weird week when it comes to my pets too. So she was on the ring and she didn't have like the capacity and like the place to look after them. I was like, well, I already have ducks, and now I have 2 extra ducks that I'm looking after. I've been trying to find their owners. Like I posted on Threads and it got shared and liked so many times, but I have not found their owners. And then the crazy thing is, one of my little smaller call ducks, he died yesterday out of nowhere,
Oh
and
no!
I think he died either because of the stuff that's in there, because he's a smaller breed than my other ones, or I think he was just heartbroken because there was nothing wrong with him. I just woke up and he was stiff, kind of gross. But I was like, no, like he was my favorite one too. So I just feel like also knowing that animals have such great feelings and they really know what's going on. And I'm telling you, he's only started to act weird when everything started happening. So it's just been a strange space. But I have these 2 new ducks who can stay with me if I don't find their parents. But I was like, I don't know, well, however I can help. I mean, somebody was trying to find somewhere for their pig, and I was like, well, I can't hold a pig at my house. But it was just like to see how many interesting animals people have, and like I'm not the only one with ducks. There was a video on the news of a lady and her chickens and ducks, and the journalist actually rescued the animals because there weren't firefighters in the Palisades at the time. So that was like heartwarming to see, like, a reporter like putting their life on the line to go in the flames and grab this lady's ducks and chickens because she was just like heartbroken. So seeing all of that, I mean, it's the light at the end of that tunnel, and hopefully everything is up from here. But
I hope so. I certainly hope so.
yeah.
Yeah.
But back, into the movie world and into the film world. I mean, that's the other thing that's kind of brought me like the little bit of enjoyment. I just turned on the TV yesterday to cheer myself up, and I wanted to watch the Spider-Man, the one with Tobey Maguire. And random movies will just cheer me up. I've been binging a lot of stuff in the time that I can. The first week I really couldn't watch anything. I just had the news on because I was just so on edge. But I'm starting to get back into the groove. So I did want to touch on like what your favorite movie of 2024 was.
Wow, that's a great question. I love that. Well, I'll tell you. I just had this conversation I think last night with some friends. I adored Amelia Perez. I didn't know anything about the film when I went to see it. Nothing, and it went in such unexpected directions from beginning to end. Yeah. And Zoe Saldana is exceptional. So I like that very, very much. I just saw Complete Unknown finally yesterday, and I really loved that, particularly because as a former New Yorker, seeing the East Village, or the village proper, depicted so beautifully, but also just to be reminded of a time when you would sit in an audience without a phone, without a distraction, and you just be listening to music, made me really happy. And a film that I really admired that I don't think it got nearly enough attention. I don't know why. Maybe because it was on Netflix, but it was Anna Kendrick's directorial debut, Woman of the Hour.
That was good.
Oh my God. I think that it's an extraordinary cast. They're all beautifully directed. The story is so carefully and caringly told. It centers the victims and not the killer. And it's genuinely frightening. That film impressed the hell out of me. I have yet to see The Brutalist, but I'm excited to see that. Yeah, I think that's my short list. I know that I'm forgetting some things that I adored, but what are yours?
I don't know. I mean, I really did enjoy Woman of the Hour. I spent the holidays in New York. I'm obsessed with New York because I just love history, buildings, like exploring. And even though it was cold, I made it like my mission to go to movie sites. So I actually went to, this wasn't a movie site, but I went to a couple of crime scene locations, and I actually went to one of the apartments where one of Rodney Alcala's victims, where he had committed one of the crimes. And it was just really crazy to see that because it's, I think it was, what was it? It's up somewhere in the Upper East Side, but it was a really, the building hasn't really been touched on the outside. It's still the same as it
Sure.
was. And I'm just thinking, like, you know, I'm seeing people go about their day, and the fact that I think he tried to help her move stuff in or whatever, and just seeing that, and like the fact that she portrayed the dangers that as women that you don't kind of notice just walking to the parking lot, like those little things were so relatable, and she put it in the film. And when I saw that scene, I was like, you never know, she was like, man, this is heavy, like there's all these people on the street, nothing's ever going to happen to me, but look what happened. So that was just crazy. But that was a really good movie because the way she put everything together, and I wish it did get more recognition and attention. And but
It surprises me that it didn't, because it is. I think it's really it's a very sophisticated film, and you mentioned that scene in the parking lot, and the way she creates drama, and the way she creates tension, and also it is there is at a time that now even casual moviegoers are familiar with terms like the male gaze and these other terms that I think. Those of us that are cinephiles, we've known
yeah,
for a very long time, and it's been, but she really is cognizant of cinema tropes and the way these stories have traditionally been told, and she turns almost every expectation on its head. I really, I wonder if it's because it's such a short film. I wonder if it's because it didn't get released in theater. I'm not quite sure what it is, but I am quite certain that Anna Kendrick is a formidable artist, and that as a directorial debut, that is a hell of a place to start. I'm a big fan of that film.
especially because Netflix, they touched on like the Menendez brothers with that series. I thought, because of that, people would be drawn to watch more of like true crime and into like a fictional series and a movie. But I mean, I think it did. I can't remember, but I do remember at some point it was like top of the watch list on Netflix. But I don't know. I can't remember when it came out. I remember I was actually watching it on the plane. I think I was coming back from New York again. I think I went to New
Okay.
York like 6 times last year.
It's funny, but I was in New York I went to Comic-Con this year in New York, my first time, and that was kind of amazing. But my last apartment in New York, which was great, was on 23rd between 1 and 2. And I remember it's gone now, sadly.
Oh,
But I used to walk, from where I am now, I can walk to the house from Nightmare on Elm Street, and I can walk to where Halloween was shot and all that. So I always liked being around. Um, Cinema history, but you made me think of, I used to walk from 23rd, you could go up to 28th Street, and there used to be uh, a facade to Bellevue Hospital that has since been torn down, but it was where Michael Corleone and Enzo the Baker, where Michael gets his jaw broken in The Godfather, and if you're a Godfather nut like I am, it was always, I would go over there and just sort of bask in, oh my God, they shot The Godfather right here, kind of a thing.
yeah, I actually
But I
printed
love.
out photos of like scenes from The Godfather. So I went to everything that I for the Spider-Man Godfather. So I went to the locations that I could, and I filmed
Yeah.
like this is where it was. I think it was the old, what was the store, the department store that they had like that one
Oh,
photo.
Best in Company
Yeah, I went
on
there.
Fifth Avenue,
And
which is gone now, I think.
yeah, it's gone. But it's still nice to like be able to walk to all of these different places. That
Yeah.
was fun. As for my favorite movie of last year, there was just so many. I don't even know. Like every time I say this is my favorite movie, then Wicked came out, and then this came out, and I was like, oh my god. I didn't think Wicked would be my favorite movie of the year, but I think the amount I cried at the premiere, I don't know. I think it just moved me a certain way because I've never related to like a character so much. And at first I didn't understand why I was like relating, but then I kind of watched it a third and a fourth time, and I was like, okay. And I've read the books, I saw the play probably when I was like a kid, but it never like affected me as much as watching that film did. So that's probably definitely one of my favorite films. Um,
I was surprised. The first 20 minutes, I was like, get me out of here. And I like musicals, but I was not on board. And then something happened, uh, and it worked its, forgive the unintended pun, but it worked its magic on me. And by the end of it, I was completely enthralled. I think John Cho, I think that film is a real achievement. I'm very curious to see, and I still have never seen the musical, so I don't know what is coming. I expect fans do, but I'm quite looking forward to the second act. It's quite.
oh
I hope the intermission isn't that long. Uh,
yeah, November. I was like, oh, but he told me that they kind of had to do it, and even though he got a lot of like craziness over splitting it in two parts to take the time and be able to tell the story properly, which I'm glad he did because now we have November to be excited for again. Um,
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, this is an unpopular opinion, and I did like Joker because, like, I'm a huge Joker, Batman, DC fan. And I kind of knew I wasn't going to expect, my typical Joker that I really like. And I went into the movie after reading online reactions, and I was like, oh my God, what am I watching? Like, what is this? Like, I'm gonna hate it. I went and watched it, and when I left watching it, I had to sit in my car for a second because I felt like really affected once again. And I was like, I'm not the hugest fan of musicals, unless like they're like a Wicked. But I had like this really bad experience when I was a kid with the Phantom of the Opera, and I think I was too young to see it, and I got scared, and I think that just like tainted my like musicals. But I think as of like recent years, I've got back into them and like overcome that fear because it wasn't the music, because I love the music and I love singing. But I went to see Joker, and I was just like, the story and what's going on with Arthur is so much deeper, and people are kind of mad about it not being, typical Joker, which I completely get because you're gonna expect that when you're a huge DC fan, as I am. But I just saw the way the storytelling was and the message behind it, and there were certain things that could have been better in my eyes, but I really did enjoy the movie, and I left being like, okay, like once again, he's not the villain he was in the first one, but he's kind of being forced to be this person, and people are disregarding his mental health and walking out on him and pushing him to be this person because it's better for the greater society and whatever. So I really enjoyed it, but I wrote my review, and there were some people who agreed, and some people were like, "Oh my God, it was terrible." I was like, "You know what? I liked it. I thought it was interesting."
I had I had a teacher when I was in training at NYU who we did something very unconventional in a scene, a Chekhov scene from The Seagull, and turned a suicide into a murder in the scene. And the teacher at the end said, "I'm going to steal that because if you did that in the right theater, you'd cause a riot, and theater ought to cause a riot." That was his lesson. And I think whatever one makes of that sequel of Folie à Deux, which is a term I've known for some time, well, it's a long story, but I was surprised that title got used. But he's not the artists making that film are knowingly not delivering the thing that the audience wants.
Yeah.
And there's another those George Lucas prequels, right? That was kind of the same thing. He delivered what the audience didn't want, but and I don't want to because it's any one person that makes a film anyway. But at the end of the day, I admired the willingness to risk alienating the audience in order to tell the story that they meant to tell, and I think that there is quite a lot of there's a pretty active strain in fandom of give us exactly what we want, or we're going to make a lot of noise that it isn't exactly what we want. And my feeling, whenever that's the criticism, go make your own thing. Go, you make a movie.
Exactly.
But you don't just get the people that are in the arena, the people that are actually doing the thing. However it is that they got there, they're there and they're making their story. And I've never been one who's fond of criticizing something along the lines of it was too long. Is I think the laziest criticism that is out there. Oh, it's too long. 20 minutes too long. 30 minutes. It's like, what does that even mean?
Right.
A work of art will hold your attention or it won't. So I'm never one that says, I wish it was this, or I wish they hired that actor, or I wish they'd done X. I don't criticize what isn't there. You take the work of art for what it is. And I know that film was divisive, but I think that's if you have a point of view, as an artist ought to have, you will be divisive.
I completely agree. And there was another movie that was, I can't remember, but I just watched something, a screener for something coming out this month. And I can't talk about it yet, but I know that's gonna have the same reaction, and I'm just excited to see that. I mean, even Wolfman, that came out, I think it comes out today, and I saw it last week, and I dropped my review, and I was seeing people on Reddit react, and I was like, they are also expecting a certain type of universal monster, but I watched the movie, and it reminded me of some of the older films, and I enjoyed it, but I was like, you know what, I'm just giving my opinion. The fandoms are amazing, but they want what they want.
Yes, well, but it's also, it is often the case that the loudest voices are not necessarily the most representational voices. Mm-hmm. And I've been a part of more than a couple of projects that were not widely appreciated, that you will encounter people that adore it. And why shouldn't they? And I don't know. I think there's a great thing about the media landscape as it is now is much content, which is a term I abhor, but as much product as is out there. There's so many options. I think it's kind of wonderful that more niche audiences can be served and more niche voices can find their way into the market. I think all of that is good.
Yeah, there's just so much. There's so many people in the world, and there's so much cinema history that there's something for everyone. Now, I do want to talk about Creature Commandos.
Wait, howdy! Would I love to talk about Creature Commandos? Although have you watched Creature Commandos?
So I'm on episode 4. I stopped finishing because everything happened, and then I was just like, okay, the world is. So I need to catch up on that, and I also need to catch up on. I'm actually rewatching the entire Daredevil from the beginning because it was obviously years ago when I finished watching it, and I need to refresh my memory because the amount of content that I've consumed since then. So I have a list of stuff that I'll be doing in these next few weeks. But
yeah, it doesn't sound like a bad thing to do. That was such a great show. My goodness.
I do want to ask, everybody has been fanning out over your character Thorn, and even though you didn't get to be in like so much of it and you worked amazingly with what you had, they want to see you come back in some type of live action version. So would you be down for that? And also, what was it like kind of bringing this to life with James Gunn? Because I'm also a huge James Gunn fan. He's brought so many of my movies to life, and yeah.
The answer. So, question one: Would I entertain coming back in live action? I would, of course, I would. I would be delighted. Any opportunity to work with James in any capacity, I relish it because I get to be around my friend. I relish it because I get to be around an artist whose work I deeply admire. And I enjoy it because it's a paid gig, and that's a good thing always. Health insurance is highly valued. Yeah. And it's always so unexpected. I did Guardians 3 with him, and that was a role that he had mentioned to me, I think 3 years before I got on set to shoot it because of a variety of things. But I didn't know what that part was going to be, I think, until I got this. I said yes long before I saw the sides. I could give a shit what the part. Can I swear?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I could give I could give a shit what the part is. If James wants me to read a phone book, I'll read a phone book. Peter Safran, for that matter, too. If he wants me to do it, I'll be delighted. So yeah, I would show up for live action in a heartbeat. And the fact that fans are eager to see that is doesn't suck. It doesn't suck at all. That was the first question. What was the second question? What's it? What's it? What's it
Oh,
like working
yeah,
with?
yeah, but you kind of answered it already. What it was like working with James, but
Yeah, but it is. You know, you've pointed it out. But the fact of the matter is that is he is one of a kind. There's nobody quite like him out there working right now, and the fact that he has taken on this um, project, this whatever it is the DCU is becoming. I know that he didn't enter into this lightly, and I am so excited to see what he has cooked up. But I do think uh, he is somebody worth admiring. He is somebody who has such a deep and abiding affection for the characters in the DC universe, particularly the ones that are more to the side, the sort of the fringier ones and the misshapen ones and the darker ones that are the places where James always seems to find so much beauty. Um, yeah, I'm very excited to see what he has in store, and if there's an opportunity to come back as Rupert Thorne, it might be a challenge given the way the story unfolded. But I would be delighted to do that. And if there's an opportunity to come back as somebody else, I mean, Sean Gunn, I think, is playing like 18 characters in the DCU. I wouldn't mind.
yeah, I was gonna ask you, who else would you want to play in a live action film?
Well, I've been asked this already, and the answer I gave, I keep thinking about, and I think it's. I don't want to presuppose any plan James might have, and James, wherever he wants me to go, I will go. That said, I have, since I was a little kid, back watching the Super Friends, which I expect you're familiar with, but it certainly was not on. I mean, I used to watch Super Friends Saturday mornings, like you get your bowl of cereal and you watch, oh God, those cartoons were great. But Solomon Grundy was a character in that world that I liked very much, and that seems like an interesting part to play. But there's no short. What's interesting is, in a million years I never would have said Rupert Thorne, but it's like everything James does. It was he picked a guy that could deliver what he was looking for, and it's really a very nice thing when you're asked to show up and bring your skills to somebody who knows what to do with them.
Oh, I love that. Now, I hope these roles come to life, because I would love to see you in a live action in those roles. But obviously, like, I didn't get to catch up on those episodes, but I always do lots of research. And so, what was it like? You're in the episode where Batman makes his first appearance in this universe. So, what was that like? Because that's pretty big.
Well, interestingly enough, that was not in the script that I got. I did
Oh,
not
wow.
see that. I didn't see Batman arriving until Batman arrived. But that was one of those. It was one of those. I mean, it was done under, as your audience may know, this has been quite an odd 5 years now, I guess. I mean, from the studio shutting down because of COVID, and then finally sort of getting back together and getting some momentum, and then shutting down because of the writer's strike, and then ultimately the actors' strike, and now I think shutting down, at least because of the tragedy that this city's been facing now. So it's been quite an interesting time. But the day that I did the bulk of the work that I did on Creature Commandos was, we were up against the actors' strike was about to happen. So it ended up being this very busy day, and I actually worked on Creature Commandos and then went straight from Creature Commandos to doing ADR on Borderlands. Um, I wish every day was as busy as that, but that was a really exciting time. Although it's funny because I can hear, I kind of really blew it out on Rupert, and I can hear the little bits of ADR that I did for Borderlands. You can hear there's a little rasp in my voice from the not having properly warmed up for the work on Thorn. But listen, Alan Tudyk is a guy I've admired for forever, and I think it was James and Dean and the director of the project, and then the episode director. I think we were in a booth in Burbank, and yeah, it was so much fun, and it was you get to catch up with James, you get to watch this actor you admire just completely go ballistic as you're killing his family. Spoiler alert, and yeah, it's remarkable. And then if folks haven't seen it, you go and you see this. The artwork is extraordinary. The staging is extraordinary. I heard James in an interview make the point that when you're working in animation, a spaceship costs the same as a kitchen, because everything is there's nothing cheap. There's nothing more expensive or less expensive because it's all drawn. But what I found so amazing about the finished product of Creature Commandos, beyond all the things that you expect with the James Gunn project, this extraordinary music, this wonderful ensemble, these quirky characters, was also that for fight scenes and just cinematically all told, the framing of these scenes, the framing of the visual storytelling is really sophisticated. But again, I think maybe I'm rambling, but if I could land the point, I guess anything that James wants me to do, I'm there for. And with that said, if all I get to contribute is Rupert in Creature Commandos, I count myself very, very lucky and very, very happy to be a part of the start of this new creative enterprise. And I'm so excited for Superman in July. I can't even believe it.
That was my next question. I was going to ask you what you thought of the Superman trailer. I was trying to update the Zoom because it's telling me I have 7 minutes. But I was going to ask you what you thought of the trailer, because I'm like so excited for that. Like that day when it was coming out, I was up at like 3 a.m. I was like, I kept waking up like, oh my God, did I miss it? I need to post it. Like, what's going on?
It's, I've watched that trailer several times. It blows my mind. And again, it's things you didn't anticipate, like to see Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner with the stupid haircut. It's like perfect. But the big thing for me, and I talked to James, and we texted back and forth around the holidays, and I told him how much I admired the trailer and how much my dog Abigail loves crypto. And James says his dog, who crypto's based on, mind you, hates crypto.
That's so funny.
His dog sees crypto. Apparently, crypto gets a bad review from James's dog. But my dog, Abigail, is a big crypto fan, as am I. And by the way, this whole notion that Creature Commandos really establishes, that this universe is already there, right? This isn't a circumstance where we're going to get this origin story, and then that origin story, then that origin story. This is like, I was 12 years old when I started reading comics. I saw Spider-Man 252 with the black suit, and I read that book, and that book was a mystery of how did he get that costume? Where did it come from? And that you get in, one story brings you in. And then once you get in, you can then go backwards, you can go forwards, you can go sideways, laterally. You can these worlds are so huge and so, but they when you start reading comics, you are jumping into something that's already in progress. And I think that James and Peter have elected to do that with the DCU. That this thing is already there. It's already Superman's already there, Batman's already there. These villains are already like we're not gonna see origin story. We're just gonna get straight to what are the kind of stories that we can tell. And then my expectation is as origins are required or needed, or fundamental to the story that's being told, they will be unpacked. But I, the long time comic book nerd in me is really, really excited to see what's coming.
Me too. Um, it's probably like my most anticipated film of the year. That and Freaky Friday too, but Freaky Friday is a whole. I just have memories of watching the first one as a kid in England with my mom, so it's like a thing.
Well, one of the great blessings of Borderlands, and there were many, but becoming friends with Jamie is high on that list. She is such an extraordinary actor. She is such an extraordinary human being. So I'm excited to see what they do there. But boy, she's pretty remarkable.
And I think she's probably one of my. I think going back to some of my first interviews, almost like 7, 8 years ago, I think she has been probably one of my first ones. And then throughout the years, I did the other Halloweens, and then I did Borderlands, and I was like, oh, it's like so fun to like see like over time. So I really love her, and she's always, doing things to help. And whenever something happens, she's always there. And I think it's like really good to see that, people you look up to.
They say don't meet your heroes. I tell you, if you can meet Jamie Lee Curtis, meet her, give her a hug, tell her thank you. She is a treasure, an absolute effing treasure.
Oh. Next time I interview her, I'm gonna let her know. hopefully for Freaky Friday. I'll be like, hey, by the way, talk to me again, please. Ben told me something I gotta tell you. But yeah, no, I like really. I'm excited for this year. Everything that has happened, regardless. Like I'm still excited for all of the movie love. It's one thing that always makes me feel connected with people, and especially DC. When I just the memories I have of like watching these movies as a kid and reading these comics. I obviously was a kid and I didn't know about fandoms and where everything is in a universe. It was just something I read and watched and enjoyed as a child. And now growing up to see like how it's grown and made changes, and I don't know, I really love it. I love where everything is going. So I'm excited. I pretty much have asked you and rambled on about everything.
This is a very challenging moment. And getting to have this conversation with you today is normalizing and centering. And the only real bad thing is learning about your favorite duck. But beyond that, this has been a real delight. This is, I think, our third conversation if you count the red carpet.
Yeah.
And I certainly trust it's not our last. I really enjoyed it, and I appreciate you having me on.
I know, and I'm always excited whenever I see like a little news post, and I'm like, I know him, I'm going to interview him again, I bet I am. So I always get really excited, and I know that I'm going to see you in so much more. Hopefully I make those DC live actions come true, because I'll be really excited.
I hope so.
And you have such a legendary and iconic like body of work, from Dutch to Borderlands, all of the things that you have done, and I mean, James would obviously love to have you back again and again and again.
I'll tell you, I feel very fortunate and really blessed and really proud of my friends, and thank you. It's really nice of you to say.
Of course, and we're proud of you. So thank you for being the light, and always being so like kind and wonderful to talk to. I've not really had any like crazy bad experiences as a journalist, but it's always such a joy to feel like you're talking to your friend.
Well, the feeling's mutual, and I've done more than a couple of these, and it's not always the case that you've got somebody who treats you like a friend. So I appreciate it, and I'm really happy to get the chance to talk to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh my God, it's been a wonderful conversation. I could be here for days, I'm telling you. I just,
Well, this
I,
has been wonderful, and I hope that everybody in your life who's facing challenges right now, I hope.
my Zoom just disconnected. Thanks, Nick. Hey, sorry.
I hated to end it
Yeah,
in the middle of that thought, but I just wanted to say thanks properly.
No, yes, me too. I was like, I hope he comes back on. I hope he comes back on.
Well, can I finish that thought? You
Yeah,
need to
yeah.
record again?
Now we have another 40, so you don't have to record that part. I mean, we can. Hold on 1 second.
Recording in progress.
I can edit it. I'm
No.
great at editing. There we go.
So we got cut off, but I did want to say that if anybody that's in trouble or facing challenges, that they, I wish them all the good fortune. And the other thing, I hope that anybody in your audience that wants to help, the Los Angeles Fire Department Foundation, there's also near and dear to my heart, is the Motion Picture Relief Fund and the Screen Actors Foundation as well. But there are plenty of reputable places that folks that are not able to donate time, but maybe have money that they can donate, they can be of use. But this is, as I was saying to a buddy, this is a marathon and it's not a sprint. And there's a lot of support right now, but people are going to need support for months and years to come. This is the scale of this thing we still don't quite understand. So I wanted to say that, but I also wanted to say, in the midst of all of this devastation, this conversation has been a bright spot. So thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Same for me. And I think another note that I wanted to like let everyone know is like just be kind to everyone, your neighbors, strangers you meet, like even when you're driving and you might get annoyed at somebody, just everybody have kindness in their heart because the world is so many things going on, and if we're just a bit better to each other, I feel like it will be a better place. And yeah.
That works for me. I think you treat people with kindness, you're doing something good for everybody. And we've got an opportunity every day, every interaction, how we want to handle it. And I hope people err on the side of patience and err on the side of remembering that everybody's got to struggle. And can we help, or at the best, can we not make it worse? Yeah. So anyway, yeah, this is great fun and a delight, and except for the awful tragedy of your duck. Although, to return to where we started, I was reading this morning about a turtle or a tortoise in Pacific Palisades that has survived and is now living in Marina Del Rey until it can return. But apparently the neighborhood knew this turtle very well, and it was not clear whether or not the turtle had survived. Anyway.
No, I love that. I always love stories like that because I am one of those, like, if I could have a farm, I would. But I know my neighbors always comment, "Oh, we heard your ducks last night." I was like, okay. So I really love seeing stories like that because, we also see all the homes that are lost, but all of the animals that lost their homes too, and that's always so devastating because even before the fires, animals are coming into people's homes like coyotes because their homes are already getting taken away. So I can only imagine. So it's just a double, I don't know, but all we can do is pray and help, and I'm doing my part with the ducks too. I think they're boys. I really wanted to name them Glinda and Alpha, but I think they're boys. So my husband was like, "We can name them Glenn and Alpha." I was like, "Okay."
I think you honestly can name the duck whatever you want. I don't think a male duck is gonna feel offended by having a female witch's name. I mean, I don't know.
Especially if
I
he
don't,
wins a Golden Globe.
I don't know for sure. But my instinct is the duck will be fine
Yeah.
with whatever you name the duck. And I also think maybe the duck won't know that you've named the duck.
Well, I'll tell you, my duck Roger, he does respond to Roger.
I know a duck named Roger.
But yeah, he turns
So
his neck.
a rabbit named Roger.
Roger.
Anyway.
See, I told you we could be here all day. Like, I'm not.
We could, but I'm gonna walk my dog. It's well, if I wake her up.
I know my little wiener dog wants to go out too.
But once again, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you as always, and I'm excited for our next conversation. Hopefully, it will be soon in person.
I hope so too. On the carpet would be perfection. Be safe, be well, and I'll see you soon.
You too. Bye.
Bye bye.
Hi guys. Sorry. So, where's Nick? Nick, are you still here? Oh, another video interview. So I just interviewed Benjamin Byron Davis, who has voiced so many iconic video game characters, including Dutch in Red Dead Redemption. He was in Borderlands. He just did Thorn in Creature Commandos. I've spoken to him, I think, twice prior to today. So I was interviewing him to talk about Creature Commandos and just catch up on like some stuff. But obviously we've had horrible fires in LA, so I moved this back. It was initially supposed to be like 2 weeks ago, and then I moved it back, and then I actually need to go finish the last episode, but it was still a good conversation, always super cool. Yeah. The Batman would probably, if only Batman existed. Maybe he does. I saw that about the Nintendo. I don't know. What else? There's a lot going on. But I was panicking because my Zoom, I just paid for extra Zoom, but so I do have an appointment now. Also, make sure you guys all follow Nick. He's right there. We work together. And if you love things, movies, and Marvel, make sure you follow him. Now, I'm supposed to go to a physical therapy appointment, but I wanted to record some stuff to post. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm going to go because I need to edit this interview and I need to eat some food. And let me scroll up. What is my name? My name is Alyssa. It was good. It was frightening because it was a true story. But I really did enjoy Woman of the Hour. Like, I still have to post the content of when I visited one of the murder crime scenes in New York City. I have so much stuff from New York that I haven't posted because of the fires happen, and I just haven't been able to edit or do anything. But either way, I'm going to get it up. Now, let me check the stock market really quick because I thought I was going to make some money today, and I didn't. It's going back up a little bit. Let's see. What did I buy? So I'm in Tesla, GEO, MBIS, DJT, MOP. Rum, I never got my rum. Does rum even trade after hours? Alright guys, subscribe. If you missed this live, you can watch the full interview. I'm going to edit and post probably Monday, but I'm going to go to my appointment, and tomorrow I might go to Universal Studios if the air is clear, because I need to film something. And I really need to go to sleep. I've been up since 3 a.m. So, hey guys, make sure you subscribe, follow on all socials, and yeah. Thanks for joining me live for my interview.